Random radio. Random radio. Joe G here, playing a little bit of music. We got a little bit of AZ in the background, rather unique, because I'm rather unique, so they say. I'm joined by my first co-host, the Satchmo, plays the trumpet, Louis Armstrong. Hello, Louis.
Hey there, Joe. And I think to myself.
Yeah, we all heard your song. We all know who you are. Oh, I got a piece of hair in my face. Get out of my face, hair. Get out of my face, hair. Anyways, Joe G here, live. I drank a half a bottle of soda. It's like 2 o'clock in the... It's actually 3 a.m. in the morning. Put my key in the door in. Anyways, so I was watching CNN before, and I was a little disturbed because, we relayed the news about Professor Gates getting arrested outside of his house after a long business flight, breaking into his own house. How much more of a Joe situation, number one, can you get into? Breaking into his own house. How many times have I locked the keys out of my car and I've had to break into my own car? Countless times. Now, I make sure I have the keys in my pocket before I go ahead and lock that door up. So, yeah. So, Professor Gates, which I don't know why Gates didn't use the windows. But little joke there. Anyways, Professor Gates got arrested. The situation seems a little fishy to me. Now, we read the story. He was outside of his home after a business trip. Neighbors called the cops because they thought somebody was breaking into his house. The police officers came. Officer Jimmy came as Gates was trying to jimmy into his own house. And something ensued. Gates accused the police officers of being racist. Among, I guess, among saying other things, right? Right?
Yes.
He's shaking his head. Yes, okay. I follow you so far. You follow me?
Yes, Joe.
Anyways. So, they started this discussion on racism, okay, on CNN. And they had three people on there discussing it with the host. And one of the guys said that racism is a conditioned response. And I don't think you can call this anything else. Well, getting back to it, let me tell the story. Tell the story correctly, Joe. Don't be a moron. So the president responded, saying that the police officers are acting like idiots. Which, I mean, they arrested a guy who showed his ID. He may have been offended. I certainly would have been offended. He may have been frustrated. I mean, let's try to paint a picture, okay? You come home. Okay, you come home from a long-ass business trip. You got jet lag. All you want to do is get inside, take off your shoes, probably take a shower, maybe a shit, maybe you was constipated, You want to relax after a long flight. Get home to your nice, huge Cambridge house. You're a university professor at Harvard. You're well known in the community, and I think Cambridge is the Harvard town, right? It's the town surrounding Harvard, then the school. It's where people board. Now, I might not be correct on that, but that's my understanding of the college town that surrounds Harvard University, which is Cambridge. So here's what I think happened. He had a Joe moment, okay? The door was jammed. He's trying to get in. He's maybe got a screwdriver, maybe banging it. He's real pissed off at this time and frustrated. I know I would be. Can't get into my own freaking house. And then some nosy neighbor calls the police officers. And why wouldn't this neighbor know, Gates? Why wouldn't he have been, gone outside and say, hey, what's the problem, buddy? You can't get into your own house? No. This police officer, this neighbor immediately calls the police. Immediately calls the police, which I think is a little bit of a rash reaction, if you ask me. I mean, don't you know your own next neighbor, your own next door neighbor? Don't you have barbecues with them? No. So the door is jammed. Gates is trying to get into Jimmy the door. Officer Jimmy comes down, trying to figure out what's going on. Gates probably has his back to the officer, still trying to get in the door because he's probably focused, one-minded right now. And this is where it gets a little fuzzy. This is where the story gets a little fishy. I don't understand. Somehow, between that point, between the point that the police officers arrived, Gates identified himself as being the owner of the house, gave his ID, and maybe he went off. I don't know. So they arrested him. Okay? Spent the day in jail, got out. And the president commented on it, saying basically that these guys were idiots. And now they're criticizing the president for commenting when he didn't have the full story, quote unquote. Now, number one, we've all been a victim of discrimination at one point in our life or another. Whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Arab, it doesn't matter. You've all had one point, and I defy you to well, you know what? Think back in your life, and there's been some time when you've been a victim of some sort of a discrimination or even some sort of a misunderstanding. Now, this president, I gotta give him respect for this. He was speaking from his gut. It was a gut reaction to the situation to answer the question the way he did. Maybe he didn't answer it the right way. This police officer was obviously just trying to do his job, and I don't think really anybody will know exactly what went on. Except for the officers involved and Mr. Gates. But, you gotta look for the good in this situation. Number one, nobody was hurt, except for some pride. Number two, we can now shed light on a problem that is plaguing our nation and that is plaguing us as a human society. Underlying racism or underlying prejudice, which, as I think Tim Wise put it, that we are conditioned to be racist. Now, okay, what's a conditioned response? The definition of a conditioned response or a conditioned action is a learned response. We learn that. We are taught from birth to act a certain way. If you are, and we might have to take a break soon. We'll have to take a break in just a minute. But a conditioned response is a response that you are taught from birth. It's not like an innate response, which you're breathing. Breathing is an innate response. It's built into you. You don't have to say, okay. Your dad doesn't have to tell you, okay, you got to breathe every 3 seconds. Okay, in and out, in and out. We learn from what is around us. And I think the underlying problem of racism in this country is not necessarily our dad saying, black people are bad. The ends are bad. They'll steal stuff and they like watermelons. No. I don't think that is the problem. I think the problem is a lot of people aren't exposed to as much as, say, I was exposed. I went to school and there wasn't just white people as far as the eye can see with just, one black guy or one Hispanic guy. I was surrounded by people of different cultures. And I got to learn a little bit of each culture while I was growing up, while I was still in those stages of development. A lot of people are isolated. And maybe that's the case. Maybe that's not the case. We'd have to do some research, to be perfectly honest with you. We'll be right back, Random Radio, and I will talk about my ideas on how to fight this quote-unquote conditioned response. Conditioned racism or conditioned prejudice or whatever the word you want to call it is. And it's a problem, though. It is a problem. It is a problem. Because we do it every day, and we'll talk about that coming up on Random Radio. Joe G here.